Problem 13. The angle bisector of the acute angle formed at the origin of the graphs of the lines y is equal to x and y is equal to 3x has the equation y is equal to k times x. What is the value of k? So first let's draw ourselves a axis to represent this geometry problem. Excuse for the slantedness, but given this, let's roughly draw out the shapes. We have this line to be y is equal to 3x, so that means y is equal to x must be here because it's less steep, and then we have the wanted line right here, which angle bisects. Now, if you are fluent with geometry, then you know that we have a theorem in geometry that relates the sides with an angle bisector. So ABCD, and this line is the angle bisector. So that means A over C is equal to B over D according to the postulate. So let's try to relate the line question into a geometry problem. To do this, let's try to find some line to draw so that we can form a rough triangle. To do this, let's first, for the sake of simplicity, to set y is equal to 1, which is this horizontal line that defines the triangle. But if y is equal to 1, notice what happens to y is equal to 3x. This means that if y is equal to 1, 3x is equal to 1, x is equal to 1 over 3. And there's a fraction. And nobody likes fractions. Don't make your life harder than it has to be. So let's try to make everything a whole number first of all. So to do this, y is equal to x will always be a whole number as long as x is a whole number. So all we need to do is set y is equal to 3x to be a whole number because this has the most constraint. What is the smallest y that gives the smallest whole number for x? Well, right off the bat, you see that y must equal 3 for this, so x must equal 1, which means we have a good idea of where to begin our question. So if I had to redraw this graph, this way we have an understanding of what the shape might look like. Let's say that we have a triangle that looks like this, right? That's a rough triangle, and let's say that this right here is the angle bisector. So this angle is equal to this angle. And we know that from here to here, from 0 to 0 to this point, something comma 3, this is y is equal to x, and this is y is equal to 3x, by the way. X right here must be equal to 1, like we said previous, or rather, y must be equal to 3, because y is 3, so x is 3. Or x is 3, so y is 3. From this point right here, we just solved that this is 1 comma 3. So what is this point right here? Well, this middle line has the equation of y is equal to kx. And y must equal 3. So kx must equal to 3, so that means x must equal to 3 over k. So this means this is 3 over k, comma 3. But wait a minute, what can we say about this line? We can say that we can relate it now to the geometric postulate, with the condition that we find the side length of the triangle first. So what is this side length arrowed by the arrow? Well, that's just the distance formula of 2 points, which is 1 minus 0 squared, which is 1, 3 minus 0 squared is 9, plus 9 gives root 10. So this side length is root 10. But what about this side length right here? That would just be, well, we have 9 plus 9, so we have root 18, which is equal to 3 root 2. So this is 3 root 2, and let's call this to be c, right? If this is equal to c, then what must this side length be? Well, it must be the entire distance from 1 comma 3 to 3 comma 3 minus c. So since this is in a straight line, we just simply do 3 minus 1 to get the entire distance to be 2, so this is 2 minus c. So relating to the postulate, root 10 over 3 root 2 must give me c over 2 minus c. So let's first simplify to solve for c. Root 10 times 2 minus root 10 times c must give 3 root 2 times c. So that means if we isolate c, we have plus 10 or plus root 10 times c, which is c of 3 root 2 plus root 10. So that means c is equal to what? C is equal to 2 times root 10 over 3 root 2 plus root 10, which if we multiply 3 root 2 minus root 10 on both sides, we get what? We get that's squared, so 18 minus 10 of what? That's 60 of 6 times root 20 minus 20. So this is equal to 8, and 6 root 20 minus 20 can be simplified further, which I know it's getting a little bit messy, so bear with me. If you divide by 2 on both sides, that's 3 root 20 minus 10 over 4, and root 20 is equal to 2 root 5, so that becomes 6 root 5 minus 10 over 4, which becomes 2, and 3 root 5 minus 5. So that is equal to c. But we know, how do we relate 1 comma 3 with 3 over k comma c? Well, 1 plus c must be equal to 3 over k, correct? So let's apply it to solve for k. 1 plus 3 root 5 minus 5 over 2 must give 3 over k. Now we solve for k and we will be done with the question. So this, if we combine the left-hand side first, will be equal to 2. If we set this to be 2 over 2, will be -3 plus 3 root 5. So that means if we cross multiply and divide, k must equal to 2 over 3 root 5 minus 3 times 3, which this becomes 6, or we factor out a 3 on everything, so that becomes 3. That becomes 1, this becomes 1, and this becomes 2. So 2 over root 5 minus 1, but we've got to simplify further by multiplying the conjugate of root 5 plus 1 over root 5 plus 1. So if we simplify even further, I know there's a bunch of algebra in this question. This will be 5 minus 1, and this would be 2 root 5, or parentheses 2 root 5 plus 1, because this is equal to 4. So dividing by 2, this would be 2 in the denominator, and root 5 plus 1 in the numerator. So our answer, at last, will be root 5 plus 1 over 2. So if you scroll up, root 5 plus 1 over 2 is answer choice A, and we are done.